I have flown to Barcelona, Spain to play the most important tournament of my life. The Sunway Chess International, regrouping 242 chess players from over 40 different countries. At my current rating of 2079, this is a global test of my true level against top competition. Only 12 points away from my peak achieved last month, I seek to cross 2100 for the first time ever. Welcome to episode 9 of my 10-round tournament in Sitges, Spain. In live rating, I have just crossed 2100 and I aim to protect that against this 2350 FM Sohan Belkaid from France. Very scary. I know at what point French chess players are super underrated these days because of how popular chess is in France. So as a common theme in this tournament, after e5, which I have been facing the entire tournament from the white perspective, I get a Sicilian defense. Every game this tournament was a fighting Sicilian. Insane how kids are these days. My opponent's 19, so yes, still a kid to me. Knight f3, knight c6, and here my opponent told me after the game they prepared something against everything. And my last game with the white pieces was against the Belgian 2290 FM, and I played in Rossolimo, and that was on DGT, so I knew my opponent was preparing against the Rossolimo. So I went with an open Sicilian. And here we go, takes, and e5 enters the Kalashnikov Sicilian defense. d6 is played, and here I go for a variation within the Kalashnikov that I have never played in my life before, and I was studying all day for this. And this is the c4 Kalashnikov, the most daring of the variations, and might I say, the best one objectively. It is the critical test of the Kalashnikov Sicilian. And my opponent, I believe, goes for the Daniel King recommendation, this g6. So your idea is to go for a quick development, bishop g7, knight e7, castles, and eventually black goes for this King's Indian-esque push f5 and absolutely demolish me on the king side. So I know this is going to be, red alert, a super fighting game.
Very interesting opening. He surprised me with the Kalashnikov, and then I counter-surprised him with the c4 variation, which is the critical line, which I've never played before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with this. He's taking a little bit of time in the opening, so it should be interesting.
So I go with knight 1, c3. He goes with a6, kicking my knight, and now bishop g7. I go with bishop d3, knight f6, and now knight c2. Your goal is to quickly refold this knight, reshuffle this knight to e3 to get this d5 square. White is playing for this d5 square, whereas black is playing for this d4 square here, and for this f5 breakthrough. So my opponent goes bishop e6, I castle, and now we finish development and we enter the middle game. So here I play f3. This, you're not supposed to commit, is what I read. Correct me in the comments, stronger players, if this is wrong. This you're not supposed to commit until black has played f5, and then you reply with f3 to try to take back with a pawn or bishop here. So f3 is a solidifying move, and I play it way too early. It looks like it's completely off track. So here my opponent plays knight h5 and tries for this f5 really, really soon. So I go bishop e3. And my opponent was a very strange type of player in this regard. He would take a lot of time, and I've seen opponents take a lot of time, but he would take a lot of time for the most, might I say, simplest of decisions, because he wanted to calculate everything and make sure everything was all right. So he takes 24 minutes for f5, which is a move that you would think would not take 24 minutes. 24 minutes. He's already down. He's taken a third of his whole time on the clock. Insane. We're still at move 13.
I was warned pre-round by a friend that this opponent takes a lot of time, and I'm seeing it, I think we're move 13, and he's on like a 15-minute turn, and I'm walking around and he's still thinking, so he's probably on a 20-minute turn by now, which is insane. It's like 25% of his time allotted for the first 40 moves. So I'm just taking it patient. It's a very fighting opening. It's going to get very sharp. I'm just going to play my game and take it slowly. But yeah, second confession in the box.
So I go knight d5. A little bit better here would have been queen d2. Best move. Queen d2, maybe bishop h6 things. I didn't want to go into these lines though. My opponent takes. And this is why knight d5 is not so good, maybe. It closes the weakness on the black pieces. But I was saying to myself, I'm fine with closing this weakness because my bishop is already in the way of this queen, doubling and pressuring d6. So I was okay with this. And now, black has more of an attack on the king side, but I have a lot of potential on this queen side as my bishops open up. And my opponent goes for knight e7, which is not the critical move here. You have to play knight d4 in these Kalashnikovs. And my opponent, it was one of his first Kalashnikovs, I believe, in classical chess. And so he maybe didn't know that you have to go for this knight d4. It's like the critical move in the Kalashnikov to equalize for black. But he goes knight e7, and now the queen feels cramped, and suddenly his position is not as good as before, and I gain a huge advantage from this positional blunder. So here, best move is you're supposed to go like a4. I was thinking a5, knight a3, knight c6, knight c4, and then you take up like this b6 square, and you outlet to d6. You put some pressure there too, but it seemed so slow to me. So instead, I wanted to go with the queen d2 for queen d4. So he develops his queen as well, and now I go for a4, but with a different plan. On knight f4, I want to go with a5, and I don't want to go with this. I believe I wanted to go with this at first, and then I wanted to go with this. So he takes on d3, he takes back the bishop pair. But I was quite happy with this because this is my bad bishop. This is the bishop behind the pawn structure. And so this is such a nice piece. Instead, he should have taken on e4. But he plays knight takes d3, queen takes, and now plays f4. And this apparently is a big mistake, but it's a very critical move. It's based on whether or not this attack functions for the black pieces, whether or not the black pieces can break through with their pawns. So I go back, bishop f2, and now this attack seems very dangerous. Like g4 is coming and takes, and by this time, we're already on move 20. My opponent is down to 22 minutes. So he took he took like 14 minutes for queen d2, like non-critical moves. Non-critical moves, he takes so much time. Very strong player, but 1200 ELO in time management, in my opinion. So he plays g5. And here, after the game, he told me that I can just let this through because I always can take with the queen and he has nothing. And I was like, that's so true. And this explains my mistake. I was too scared. I played h3. Whereas I should just be going knight a3, knight c4, and try to kill him on the queen side. So h3. Now I give my opponent the hook on h3, and g4 comes with an extra punch. So I'm a little bit in trouble. I go with rook fc1. I'm trying to get my king, maybe do a king march across the board to go to the queen side, but I'm trying to liberate my king, just in case. This is another inaccuracy. I have to go with this plan, knight a3, knight c4. The engine is pressing me to do this. So here he goes knight g6. He's meticulously trying to place his pieces in the right squares before deploying g4 maybe. And so now I go knight e1. And I know, a backwards knight move, what are you thinking, Zach? This is terrible. But it's a very scary attack, especially to face on a board. And now my opponent takes the remainder of his 17 minutes. And he goes down to 3 minutes for bishop f6. It's the best move. But he has 17 moves left until he gets bonus on his clock. And now he's down to 3 minutes for the next 17 moves. He's in deep, deep time pressure. So I go rook a3. I want to double and take the c file. I feel like if I go to c7 before this queen can activate, I can get the better of him. So rook a e8, and now I go rook c3. And now he goes bishop d8 very quickly. He has under a minute. He's playing on a minute increment. And now something becomes very, very bothersome for me. He starts shaking at the chessboard. And we have footage of this because the entire tournament from now on is on very, very nice tournament cameras that have 3 angles. Shout out to the organizers who brought in these broadcasters, and shout out to the broadcasters who are running this event. Especially this round, there are confessions. There's a confession booth for this round, last round, and the next round. But here, my opponent starts shaking at the table, and the actual chessboard is now moving. He's like this. Very unpleasant. But anyways, I play b4 here. The best move is to play bishop b6, but I didn't want to trade my good bishop inside this pawn structure for this theoretically bad bishop. But bishop b6 gains me access to the c7 square. You can break rules if it gives you access. My opponent plays queen h7 very quickly, down to 36 seconds on the clock, rook c8, and now g4. All of this is played extremely quick. I take, he takes, and I play f takes, and now he plays f3. He sacrifices a second pawn in 2 moves for some play. I take with the knight, he goes queen d7, and now some tactics are maybe threatened. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. I look at everything, and here I play knight h2. I want to try to just defend my pawn. He has a draw with rook takes f2. He doesn't find this in 30 seconds. He plays knight f4. And here I don't know where to place my queen. I'm thinking queen d2, it looks tacticky, I don't know. Queen e3, I don't know, so I played queen f3. I'm just trying to take up all the squares from this knight. This is a blunder because bishop g5 equalizes, but my opponent plays queen b5. And so like the eval bar is having a constant stroke on this. And now my opponent is threatening this pawn. I have to defend it. I can't defend it with a queen because this blunders the queen, right? I have to always stay in the vicinity of this e2 square, but this knight is threatening e2. So I have to play a rook move that defends against knight e2 and defends against queen takes b4. And it's 50-50 shot. What are you doing? In the comments, put a comment in. Rook 8 c4, rook 1 c4. And I play rook 1 c4. I want to keep the pressure and the tension on the 8th rank. This is bad. This is a defensive move. You have to play defensively with your piece. Keep those 2 pawns up. That was +1 advantage, but I play rook 1 c4 and I blunder this, which he finds with 1 second on the clock. He plays it and he taps his clock. I thought I was going to win on time. Absolute scenes. I play rook takes e8. He's sacrificing a bishop, and I can't take it because my rook falls. So I have to take this rook first, and now he can take back, and if I take, my rook is undefended. Very clever tactic, but I'm still a pawn up. So I go queen b3, only move, defending both the rook and the pawn, and now bishop back to b6. Again, only move, I play very well here. Knight f3, knight e2 check, king f1, and now he goes knight c1, attacking my queen. Obviously, this is pinned. And now we're reaching move 40. In 3 moves, my opponent will get bonus time for the first time in the game and will not be on 1 minute anymore. So I try to make it as testing as possible. I go queen c2. He goes rook c8. I go knight d2 defending, and now he goes rook f8. It's his only try. He needs to beg for this draw in order to keep afloat. And so I go back to knight f3, and now he goes rook c8, hits 40 moves, gets off of his chair, and now I have to contemplate whether I'm taking this easy draw or I push for a win. You know me, against any level. If I'm playing Magnus Carlsen, I'm refusing your draw, Magnus. Queen takes c1. And so here, I'm taking this knight, and I'm trying to go for checkmate. He saw that if rook takes, I have queen g5, and there are chances of checkmate, but objectively, it's a draw. If bishop takes, I get queen g5 check, king here, and eventually I can do like a fork with this, even if he like neglects. If he does this still, I can take. And if king here, check, king g7, check, king here, check is what I saw, yes. And now queen e6, and you're winning the rook like this. So he can't take on f2, so there are some ways to go wrong, and so he plays queen takes c4. And we get into this endgame in which I have 2 pieces for the rook, but my opponent has, well, he takes on e4, but he could have 2 outside pass pawns, quite like my last game against the 2283 Caro-Kann game, which was an alien gambit. Watch that video in the description down below. He took a long turn here because this apparently loses. So I thought it was still okay for black, because after bishop c7, I thought rook takes, and then bishop takes g6, rook takes g4. But this loses to bishop c7, and this pawn is just queening. After king here, there's some forks. So the king would have to go back here, and now d6, king here, and now there's still check. This is still winning, yeah? Okay, well, this is just easiest. So he takes a long time for the only drawing move, rook takes pawn. And now I go bishop c7, and now he takes on b4. And now I take, and now he goes rook p5. If he takes here, it's the same line, bishop c7, and I'm suddenly winning. So again, many ways for him to go wrong. He goes rook b5. He's getting the strong pawn out of me. And I take, and now I actually have to defend this endgame because my pawns don't have a real chance of queening. My pawn can reach g7, and then my knight has to zigzag 5 moves to even attempt a mate. So really, I'm playing for a draw here, and I go king e2. I play this very nice bishop d4, getting a bridge for my king, so my king can cross through. b5, king d3, and now I get over to this side of the board. I defend with my king against pawns. The best piece to stop 2 pawns is a king. And it's like, right, g5, a4 check, rook c2, and now I go g3. And I'm planning on just playing solid here. And then I see that after knight d2, rook d1, knight b3, he goes rook d3. I can defend against everything here. If he goes a2, I simply go for bishop b2, and I'm going to go like this soon. So he takes, and I see that there's no way I can even win this. Even if I play bishop f6, there's no way I can win this game. He's going to go king g6, and then rook takes g5. So I said, okay, let's do a draw. And that's how I drew a 2350, kept my 2100 rating, even gained some points this game because of the rating gap difference, and emerge into round 10 against another FM, this time 2340, who's been having a bad tournament, but I have the black pieces.